Welcome to Intelligent Human Leadership, leading yourself and your team. Do you ever find yourself grappling with a lack of confidence in your team? Or battling the relentless waves of concern and fear? Are the pressures to meet client expectations and the burden of missed opportunities weighing you down? On this podcast, you'll discover the strategies and insights that will reignite your team's morale and help you find the harmony and knowledge you seek to propel your business forward. Here, we explore innovative ways to reignite your creative spirit and achieve greatness, empowering you to lead with intelligence, compassion, and resilience. If you're ready to dive deep into your core of leadership challenges and be guided toward success, here's your host, founder of Steward Your Business, David Carr.
Welcome back to the podcast this week. And I should say maybe this month, if you've been following along, I have been leading and sharing episodes every week, actually, since January of 2024. So if you've missed a few, I encourage you to go back and listen. But here we are in mid-July 2025. And you might have seen I haven't released a few episodes in the last month or so, and for a couple of reasons. I'm going to give you guys an update here today and kind of tell you where we're going on the Intelligent Human Leadership podcast, how you know yourself to lead yourself. And part of the focus today on the podcast is really this ongoing journey of mind shift. All have them, and leadership transformation isn't a one-time thing. You guys have heard me talk about that on the podcast, and this applies to me. I lead from what I live, and this is really important to me that I share with you what's going on, where are we at, what's working, what's not working. And so where we're going here, at least in the near term, and we'll see where we go beyond this, but in the near term, I want to give you an update so you have a trajectory. You know where intelligent is going in conjunction with Steward Your Business. So we're going to move from a weekly podcast, which has been fantastic. I really have enjoyed that. Every coming 20 or 30 minutes a week. Leadership insights that I've been gathering and applying to myself over the course of 25 plus year career. And we're going to go to a monthly format. Timing will be about the same still. But the reason part of that is, talk about mind shift and understanding where I have finite resources and time, and I love doing it. But I realize, those of you that don't know, I have another podcast called the Business Roundtable Podcast that has been continuing to pick up, actually, which has been great. Meeting some fantastic guests on there. That's a totally different format in the podcast where we have guests come and speak. And so there's synergy there and new clients and collaboration. But IHL, Intelligent Human Leadership, is still going to remain an anchor for deeper leadership growth. And really this episode is going to kick off this new cadence where we're going to get into continued deep truth of who we are, and remembering that transformation isn't a one-stop event. It's an ongoing experience of becoming. So I hope you'll continue to join me, share, like and subscribe. Of course, all those things are great. I do a video version of this in case you're not catching this. You're listening to it on your favorite podcast platform. Great. Find me on YouTube as well. Just look at business. All that logistics out of the way, because really what I want to bring to you today is how do we break down, I would say, the story, if you will, that there's a single event, single breakthrough, that one moment, that the aha moment that will change it all. Not that we can't have aha moments, but it's exactly what that is. It's a moment. It's a snapshot in time. Reality is that true change, true transformation is iterative. It is taking step after step after step over time. See that. And so anybody that tells you there's like an overnight sensation or they've hit it big by randomly, kind of like a aha moment. I'm not saying there are just moments where there could be a snapshot, but that is not the norm. That isn't where you're going to find, certainly not long-term success and legacy, where they have that switch There are people, quote, that have gone from, nobody to being infamous, right? And but any if you look at that, and you don't do the work required, I work with business owners and individuals, and it's like a house of cards. It's going to eventually collapse on its. Don't put structure and frameworks and understanding of who you are, where you're at, and you just kind of try to fly by just whatever this inspirational or moment is. It doesn't last. I have a good colleague, a mentor, talking to me about meditation, how we would go, spend him or his family would go and spend months across the globe, yeah, or other places, going through very experiential events, amazing, come back to daily life, and eventually that high, if they had that moment that went away, it changed. It doesn't last forever, so what we have to do is we're not intentional, right? We have mountaintop experiences and we have valleys, and there's some things in there. And so, what I want to help you to do on this podcast, really give you some perspective in continuing to get the breakthrough ongoing. It's not a one-time thing, which thank goodness it's not, because quite honestly, that would be kind of a boring life, to be honest with you. And I feel like there's so much more that I'm having breakthrough. I'm continuing to have revelation and understanding at 51 years old. There's so much more. I'm excited about the second half of life, if you will. Um, and so let's go deeper together here on today's podcast here and look at the reality of ongoing mind shift, um, mindsets. Mind minds can shift. Uh, for those of you that like this, got on neuroplasticity, the way our brains work. I have another podcast episode recorded last week, roundtable. I have a guest on there. It's all about um, great conversation. But here, I want to tell you about my personal journey and recognizing that I personally had to make multiple mind shifts over. And one of them was, going from perfectionism, like I try to get it all right. I just right, and realizing that better to go from perfectionism to clarity. I want to be moving and making progress, at least some ways. Progress, for example, is better than perfection, because quite honestly, we're never perfect this side of heaven. We are not perfect. We'll never be perfect, and that is, the death nail at times. Looking for perfection, getting things done. How many of you have worked with folks like need a mind shift, a mindset of, oh wow, it could be different. The understanding. I get to work with clients. Love when I get to work with clients and mindset of a fixed mindset to an open fixed mindset as you can't change. You're ever at the question, very staunch, very determined in their opinion. You can determine if someone has a fixed mindset or not by a simple question. Um, are you willing wrong in a conversation? Willing to entertain that you could be wrong? Your assumptions, facts you have may be inaccurate. Are you willing to consider that? If they're not willing to consider that, there is no point in having an ongoing conversation, at least for you. Maybe for them, they enjoy it for some period of you, or they kind of way of uh, feeling like they're trying to lord it over you. But have true connection, true relationship with somebody else. You want to entertain the possibility, consider that you could be wrong. I have this in faith conversations often, and I have to be real and honest that what the foundation of whatever I believe or my understanding is could be wrong, could be faulty. If I'm open to somebody saying, "Could you consider this?" I've seen it differently. Hmm, I never thought of it that way. It allows me the opportunity to move and not to hold on so tightly to what I knew things were, now to see differently. Um, for those of you that, you know, the movie The Matrix comes to mind. The scene in there where, Morpheus characters putting out 2 hands, bring this to Neo, Keanu Reeves' character. Look, there's a red pill and In any case, he's giving you options. You can either take the pill and have an understanding and awakening, um, something completely challenging of who you are, or you can just take the other one and go back and like this never happened. Um, and I'd like to say we would all take the pill that would say, "Hey, let's open our eyes and minds." And if you're on this podcast, you have taken that pill, because all of us are in this space of learning, discovery, and we're not going back. No, that's the old skin. That's who I was. That's not who I am becoming. So, um, one thing I've learned is stop trying to fix people. I can't fix people. I can't change people, but I can ask them. I can be curious, understand where they're coming from, and perhaps in that way lead them with questions. Open up the possibility to consider. We talked earlier about my assumptions correct. Um, for me, I have to be careful about overcommitting, honoring time rhythms, seasons. Meeting with a gentleman this morning, um, great businessman. He's growing his company, doing ministry things. And I said, where are you at with your family? And he's 4 kids, 10 and under. Well, I know you got some big pictures and ideas. There's a season for that. It's not this, you can't do some of that now, but you've got a family and a young family that's going to need your attention and focus right now. So recognizing there's rhythms that shift and recognize, okay, I don't have to have this fear of missing out for. I have all that I need and then some. Coming from an abundance, recognizing, not threatened by somebody else's success. These are all different ways of shifts and understanding our mindset. Hopefully, our minds are again, not so fixed; they can be adjusted. That's the beauty of our mind. Science backs it up. As we learn more about science, actually readjust the way our thinking, quite literally. It's pretty amazing. And I could go deeper on that, but I won't be able to do that here on today's podcast. But I do want to give you a framework to work from, in recognizing, and how do we lead ourselves? What's that cadence? I like the word becoming and transformation, more than change. You may hear me sometimes slip into the change, but I wanted you to consider the words that I'm using here. Change could mean, if you're watching a video of this, means in horizontal fashion and then move it in a vertical fashion. That is a change. But fundamentally, the pen is no different. As vertically, horizontally, whatever the case might be. What we want to be able to do is place a transformation of becoming. In From a biology perspective, one of the ones that most people think of, butterfly. And what does a butterfly do? It starts the caterpillar, right, and it's transformed completely. Literally puts itself into a cocoon. Out comes this butterfly, and this is not a quick process. Meaning, there's a from the life cycle, and we won't get too nerdy here with you, but of that animal, um, there is a place where it needs to go. Need to take collagen, right? It needs to come from the inside out. And what happens is the butterfly then goes through the transformation process. Ultimately, it looks completely different uh, to that caterpillar, that cocoon. You have to also realize that you can't pull that butterfly out and then it needs to go through that gestation nation in order to be strong, to be able to go out there into the world. Try to force it and go too quickly, like I said, some aha moments, like, "I get it, I'm just gonna hurry up and do this." It unfortunately doesn't work that way. There are laws that we live, experience in our natural world, natural laws that to abide by and realize that process knowledge I'm sharing with you knowledge today that applied becomes wisdom, become wise as you live out what you formed out. And so when we do this on a, we can evaluate this over time. I use different frameworks, coaching, both through Steward Your Business and businesses, but I also am excited to be able to share with you, for those of you that are listening, my business is offering, doesn't, that's fine. I have a Steward Yourself program. Individuals come in to a group place, mastermind, if you where we can share and learn and we're not alone. That is really powerful. When you do this weekly, monthly, come in and return and report, where are you at? What is working? What's not working? We can start to break these down, get better insights as to is the are the things that I'm consuming, taking in, going to help me become and transform? Or perhaps this could be unfortunately deadly if we're not aware of that. We could be taking things in that are not really helpful, beneficial to us ultimately. So we have somebody or other a community is looking at this, getting feedback as to, well, maybe I need to make an adjustment. Um, and this is how I live my life, where I'm getting coached, I'm getting feedback, and then in turn, I want to share that with you all through the tools and research that I have to talk about podcast episodes from how you plan your week using planner or app, or understanding your voice. How do I show really? Am I more detail oriented? Am I future oriented or present oriented? There's different ways that we can evaluate and break down how we make decisions. How would we approach problem? Um, Unfortunately, I can't do all that here on a podcast, like I tell you often, but I can give you some, bread, if you will, to help you along. You can always go deeper, and there's a lot more meat, if you will, to get to, helping you build, compound your growth over time versus just quick fixes. So I want to encourage you as we're looking at this here podcast today, giving you an update. I have had applied this to myself. Can't do everything. Only got so much time, and I have to realize where is the best use of focus. I as a individual solopreneur building my company, I love to help lots of people, but I realize I have to pair that uh, serving and production with other elements. That's just not as attractive, quite honestly, to me, who I have helped me along the way. Uh, I want to look at your current beliefs and understand and recognizing they bad, but whatever has gotten you here, whatever your current beliefs are, we help you upgrade. We want to improve your thinking. When I mentor Jim Quick, we talk about this. How do you change and renew our minds? Dr. Carolyn Lee, so many research on your brain. But here's the thing: what is the belief costing you right now? If you're going to hold on to this, there's a cost. Either way, there's a cost for me. There's a cost for you. And when we hold on to a fixed way of thinking, realizing we need to pivot, we need to let go, we need to say no, because by saying no, it means yes to something else. I had to learn that one. Uh, okay, so we're gonna pause a pivot, if you will, uh, on the weekly. Tells you top of the podcast here, but that doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean it's done. I mean, there's seasons. We adapt, right? That allows me some other ability and bandwidth and that I could focus on, particularly the group coaching program being a part of, which please reach out if you want to know more. I'm happy about that. But how would you show up better? Recognize we count the cost and think about this. Once you do this, other people around you are going to recognize because you're going to see a piece about you. You're going to see a presence about you that says, you know what? I am adapting. I'm becoming. I'm not so fixated, not holding what was. How many of you have had people? Well, this is the way we did it, or that we've always done it this way. We've always had this. You know, they're potentially risk averse or scared. They were scarcity mindset. There's different ways where we fix in our mind, and when you start to open that possibility of what could be, it's amazing what comes in. We have created more capacity to entertain experiences. Old fast, not going to do it anymore on the spot. Well, so much you. I'm saying let's expand our understanding. Let's change up our current beliefs, upgrade them, and you're going to see the difference not only in yourself, really, your team, part of because you're starting to tackle great mindset shift, open the possibility of what could. So, as we're getting to the end of the podcast today, I want you to think about what belief or mindset are you holding on to once served you, but now limits your. If you've overcome that, I would really appreciate hearing from you. Share in your comments. What was it that you had, and then you're like, you know what? I left that. I threw that in the trash. That's no longer who I am. And how is it serving you better now? Because sometimes when you share these things, others may be struggling with that. They're further behind you. For me, one of them was I remember early on in my marriage, so great to have this house, that house. Can't afford that. We can't go there. And I realized, wow, I'm imposing mindset scarcity. Can't do that. We don't have that. And I realized, number one, I didn't really. It took me a moment. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I didn't even realize I was asleep to it. Then my wife kept bringing it up, and she, wow, you were just so negative about this. I flipped the script, started to see a different. I said to my wife, yeah. And every time now she brings it up, I said, yeah, I'm working on that. I'm not getting to that. And that's another one on my list. And we joke about it and we have a good time about it. It's created a different energy and dynamic in my own marriage. And so I want you to consider that and maybe take your journal out or notepad or go on AI, however you want to do it. But what's the next level of your leadership? What will it require you? What challenge your mindset? Get in there, dig in there. And if you want some help and you have a conversation, I do a free call with you. Just clarity call, I say, and you know, I'll put that in the show notes. In time and time to personally meet with me. Have not all the time in the world, but I have time, and particularly for you as a listener, important. I serve you time out of your day, wherever you are listening, to follow along in the journey. So continue to subscribe. We're going to continue to bring out episodes month after month. If you want to go deeper, learn more about what the Business Roundtable podcast, you can look for that one too. They're all on your podcast platform. Me, David W. Carr, or Intelligent Human Podcast, Business Podcast, favorite podcast platform. We're there, and if you can't find it, let me know because I want to make sure I get it out there. And I again appreciate you guys being here on the podcast with me once again. It's an honor, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm on LinkedIn. You guys can connect with me there, of course, on all the different platforms. But you becoming that most intelligent, what it's all about. I can share a little bit more about how I've done it and how I've accomplished charity and in a place of purpose. Ultimately, it's about serving others, receiving that, sharing it. We do that together in community here. Steward Your Business. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, be well. Thanks, everybody. Take care.